Let's start with when you got the call. You were at home on Sunday night. What time did you get the call?
I think, as I recall, I got the call shortly after 10:20 or 10:30. So Dr. Lawless was the primary trauma surgeon on call, and I got a text, are you around? Multiple GSWs, multiple gunshot wounds. And I answered, yeah, I'm at home, text me if you need me. 5 minutes later, or less than 5 minutes later, actually, the chief of critical care called me on my phone and said there's been a code orange at the hospital. So code orange means that there's a catastrophe in the city, there's a mass casualty or some other emergency in the city. And so it's all hands on deck. It means that nobody who's currently in the hospital can go home, even if their shift is over or whatever. That includes the porters, everybody stays put. We call in backup teams from home. So I live about 10 minutes from the hospital, so I got into my scrubs and I drove into the hospital. And as I came down Shooter, I could see there was lots of ambulances and lots of police cars, and I had a sense then it was going to be a tough night and something catastrophic had happened in the city.
At what point did you get a clearer sense of how big it was?
I didn't really get a clear sense of how big it was for a few hours. As I came in, I was told that Dr. Lawless was already in the operating room performing surgery on the first patient, and then there was multiple other patients that I triaged and assessed and realized that a second patient needed to go emergently to the operating room. So we rushed that patient upstairs. We got the OR was on standby, as is the case for a mass casualty situation. So we got started almost immediately. And I don't think it was until about 4 o'clock in the morning, really, that I got a clear sense of the scale of what had happened, how many patients had gone to which hospitals, how many patients required surgery, and that sort of stuff.
What was the mood inside here? If I'd been able to walk around where you were walking around that night?
I think the mood was very much serious. The mood was very much get your head in the game. The mood was very much let's all pull in the same direction and make sure that we save as many lives and minimize as much damage as we can. And every single person that I saw that night, I saw that in their eyes.
I mean, for people on the street in the Danforth, there were so many questions, there was so much uncertainty, it was also unsettling, a sense of unease. Was there any of that here, or was there a point at which that kind of seeped into here as well?
I think there was a sense of shock and a sense of this can't happen here, and how did this happen? We're Toronto, we're Canada, this does not happen here. For sure, that was seeping into everyone's consciousness as the hours rolled by. In the moment, I think we were all very much focused on the job that we had to do right then. And since then, of course, there has been a lot of dismay and concern about how this could have happened and what we're going to do about it.
Was there anything different when you were in the OR that night and the next day, given the nature of this event?
I think as the information was trickling in, you come in, you know what you have to do, you get very laser focused, you do what you have to do. You stand over the patient and you're organizing your team and you fix injuries. I think because of the circumstances, because it was in the heart of the city, and because the loss of life has been so tragic and at such a innocent age, I think I got a sense that this was different. That for me was, it's kind of crushing, kind of soul crushing when that information started trickling into the operating rooms as we were operating and treating patients as the night and the next days went by. We see a loss of life, but this kind of mass casualty gunman thing in the heart of the city is not something that we're accustomed to in a city like Toronto.
I normally wouldn't in an interview ask somebody a question that involves their religion, but Mohammed Leela, a reporter who used to work for CBC, who's Muslim, tweeted that the gunman was Muslim, but so too was one of the key doctors, one of the acting directors at St. Michael's Hospital, and you saw that tweet and you were touched by it.
Yeah, that tweet was brought to my attention, or that Facebook post was brought to my attention, and I was somewhat touched by it, and it's out there, so perhaps it's worth talking about. I guess I would say that every day millions and billions of people on planet Earth get up, regardless of their faith or their religion, or even if they don't have faith in a God, get up and every day and go about their business and try and make the world a better place. And I'm just one of those billions of people. I just happen to be in the business of saving lives. And that night, my job was to save these lives.
A lot of people in Toronto have done a lot of thinking over the last few days, and they've wondered, is their city safe? Has their city changed? What can they do to make their city better? Have you had any moments like that?
For sure. We've had a lot of conversations like that at St. Michael's Hospital. I think our city has changed. For sure, something like this affects the way we think about our community and about our city. I don't think it'll ever go back to being the same. And what can be done about it is a very important question. And what can be done about it is, I think we have to think very deliberately and carefully about gun safety legislation and firearm legislation in our country, because I personally believe it's a slippery slope. Unless we get a handle on it now, we're going to be in a place that we maybe don't want to be in the decades to come.
There were 5 victims taken to St. Michael's Hospital in Toronto, where Dr. Ahmed works. 3 of them required surgery, and she took part in all 3 of those operations. You can find more on the exclusive stories we brought you from the Danforth tonight on our Instagram page @CBC The National.